Hi folks, this is Butch from Sand Hollow Homestead in Sand Hollow, Idaho. Today I thought I'd walk out by the garden. The weather is pretty good right at this moment. On a Sunday, it's pretty calm. And I thought I'd do a little video on a experience I had recently. And I just wanted to talk it over with you. Recently, my family was blessed by a phone call from a friend who said that a lady in their church had passed away, and she was a prepper. She had been prepping and putting up food, not just what she had in her garden, what she's been canning and dehydrating, but she bought supplies. She bought a lot of food to put up, either dehydrate or put it up into buckets. And it's at one point they talked about this lady that had 15,000 jars of canned food. But what I'm bringing up today is what will happen to your prepper supplies, food supplies, any supplies, when you die. This lady, I'm not even sure where she lived. I don't know her name. I never asked. My wife worked with another family to bring home some of the goods, some of the prep supplies. And when she brought it home, my first thought was, oh my God, where am I going to put all this stuff? It added up very quickly. What I would consider a professional prepper. She was somebody that I thought really knew what she was doing. I mean, the buckets were full of every kind of supply that you could think of. All kinds of herbs, all kinds of seasonings, large amounts, 2-gallon buckets or 5-gallon buckets. She also had inside the 5-gallon buckets, everything you can think of, like salt and pepper and garlic and, you know, just everything. I haven't even been through all of it. I know she had rice and beans and milk, dried milk. Just imagine what you could do, you know, what you could put up dehydrated, and she had it. Some of it is things that we never really prepared for long term or even collected enough for long term. But the point I'm bringing is, did she know what would happen to her food when she died? Did she know that after she died, her family would say, we don't want this food. We want to get rid of it all. We want it hauled off. We don't want it. And they weren't of the same mind. That really shocked me, because it's something that really hasn't been talked about in any of the videos, in any of the live streams that I know of. What's going to happen to your prepper supplies when you die? That should be part of your prepper planning. Now, we already know that you've got to turn things over and use them before they go bad. And there's a million different suggestions on when you should do that, or how you should prepare it, or how you should store it, where you should store it, what type of containers you should use. So after thinking about that, I decided that I needed to talk to my family. I need to understand what the plan is when I'm gone. If my family doesn't want this food, doesn't want my supplies, if they're of the mind that it's not needed and they just want to give it away, then we need to talk. And have you ever asked that question to your family? I've never really thought about it. All these years I've been collecting jars from homes where grandma or grandpa passed away or was so ill that they couldn't can any longer and they just wanted somebody to benefit from it. And there's been some that have died and opened it up to the public, and the public came and got it, either paid some money for it or just got it free. I've been doing that for the last 50 years of our marriage. And I've gotten garden tools, shovels and rakes and things left at some of the homes that I've purchased and sold. Through the years, I've collected a lot of stuff, but what's going to happen to my prepper supplies when I die? Now, I know that there's going to be things like my clothes. I can understand those being tossed. And there's probably going to be some tools, some things that Martin or Ann or my daughter doesn't want. But in reality, we've never really planned it. We've never said, what do you need? What do you want? I've collected everything I could for the last 50 years to make our home, our homestead, as efficient as possible. And no, I didn't have big money to buy big equipment and expensive things, but I've used everything I could get my hands on. If I got a rake and it needed a new handle, yeah, I put a new handle in it. If it was a hammer, put a new handle in that hammer. Use screwdriver, well, I'd just grind it, clean it up, and I'd use that screwdriver. I guess you call that frugal. I just call it common sense. I didn't mean to be cheap. I just meant to be common, what I think is common sense. So often people will put in their will the things that they want their property to go to a certain person, or possibly money going to a charity, or a property going to a loved one. In their wills, they'll state, what they feel is will satisfy the family so that they don't bicker and fight. I've seen, even with a will, I've seen family torn apart because they were fighting over certain things that they thought was valuable. I don't know if you've been around that. It's very sad. I've seen it. I don't want that to happen in my family. I don't want my family to fight over my prepper supplies. But I think I'd roll over in my grave if my wife and my family would say, We don't want any of this stuff. Get rid of it. Get rid of the garden tractor. Get rid of the mowers. Get rid of the garden tools. Get rid of everything that he has. We don't want it. We're not going to work in the garden. You know, something like that would just, oh, I'd roll over in my grave. I don't think that will happen to my family. But it did to this lady. Her family said, don't want any of it. Get rid of it. It's not worth anything to us. Don't even try to sell it. Don't take the time. Just have them pull up, load up, and get out of here. Clean up this place. And she had a lot. It's my understanding, many of the rooms in her house, in her garage, in her sheds, she had filled many, many rooms with prepper supplies, mostly food. And there was people that was coming with trailer loads, trailers, to load up and take trailer loads out. You're probably thinking, well, most of that stuff must have been bad. Well, we have found some containers that were cracked and exposed the food that was in there, and we've decided to feed some chickens with it, because it's something that we don't want to take a chance of using, and we'll give it to the chickens. I understand that. That happens. It happens anytime, anywhere. But the majority of her stuff was in very good shape, sealed up good. And some of it I would definitely have preserved it different. But it was like she was working very urgently. She was concerned about a day when there wouldn't be food. And she wanted to make sure that she had not only food for her family, but she had mapped out how each and every part of her family had a space. Yeah, a space to sleep and a space to stay in her house, in her home, at her property. So she could bring them in and save them from chaos. I would think that's an honorable thing to do. But obviously her family didn't think that. I'm not going to speculate what they thought, but I think you understand. If they gave her stuff away like that, they felt alienated from her. She worked hard. She worked for years prepping and putting up that food. It must have been a tremendous expense to buy those types of buckets, containers, to buy all that food. A lot of it was store-bought, dehydrated or freeze-dried, or it's my understanding that it was just every kind of container of food that you could think of. And then in that one area alone was 15,000 jars that she had put up. Wow. The effort, the love, the sacrifice that she made for her family, to see that, you know, they didn't want it. They didn't have the same dream or concern that she had. Well, she's blessed us and she blessed many others. It's not like her effort went without blessing some. It's so sad to see that it wasn't her family. I really hate to end this on a sad note. I mean, this is sad enough. But I want you to just think about how you're going to communicate with your family, the importance. of your prepping. Now, if you and your family are already using your prepping supplies on a regular basis, it's probably going to be probably going to go different than a family that doesn't live with you and doesn't live maybe even in the same state. You know, maybe somebody who's doesn't want to travel and doesn't want to deal with it. We work and we slave and we dream and we produce results. What's your dream on your homestead? Does it include the dreams of your children and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren? Are they of the same mind? Or when you die, are they going to say, well, he doesn't have to suffer anymore and work in the garden or prep that food? Well, I think the families that work together on the homestead and they build the same dream will carry that dream on when you die. I believe with all my heart that when I die, the things that I have will be appreciated. Maybe not all of it will be kept, but they understand the effort that was put out. No one knows for sure what your family's going to do when you die. But what we can do, we can give them the best opportunity and make it as successful and convenient for them that if they decide our way of living, our way of life as a homesteader, that they have that experience and that knowledge and appreciation and those memories that they can continue on. Don't let what happened to that lady, that wonderful lady who prepped so hard, gave her heart and her soul and all her time and her money, and then to see it end that way. But I wonder if I had a way to tell her, if I had a way to tell that lady how I feel, I would tell her, thank you so much, because you have blessed my family and we will not allow this food go to waste. We'll use everything we can that is good, and all this stuff, we'll use it to the best of our ability. So from Sand Hollow Homestead, I'd like to ask you, what you think about this situation. What are you going to do to help your family when you die to continue on? Or at least to understand and know what it takes to maintain a homestead, and then they have the free choice of making the decision to carry on. God bless you all from Sand Hollow Homestead. I hope that this year will be the best year for you and your family and your garden and in your preserving of food. Folks, there's lots of food in the pantry. We'll see you at supper time.